Okay, so there is a cool operator called the like operator, which we can use to look at a string and say if this string has a certain pattern, then return true or false. So we look at a string, then we have like, and then we give the pattern of what we're looking at. That's the syntax. And now in the pattern, there's several different ways of looking at patterns. A question mark looks for a certain character, any single character. A star looks for like zero or more characters. A hash sign looks for any single digit. We can also have different character lists or not looking at certain character lists. Now this probably does not make any sense at all. So let's look at examples of how we can use these, the like and these all these question marks, star, hash, and character list to actually figure out stuff to see if our string has a certain pattern or not. So the first example is we're looking at the string called first name. We converted it to an uppercase, and we want to look if it looks like uh, B question mark LL. So if the string has starts with a B, if there's another character and then two L's, then return true, otherwise false. So examples would of where it returns true is bill, ball, bell, bull, and so on. So if B followed by any character and then two L's, it's fine. If it's not in that pattern, like BPL, BLL, um, Billy, where the format is not what we specify, then it's not gonna work. It's gonna return a false. So that's for the question mark. Uh, let's say we want to look at a text box, and if it has a word which starts with K and then any number of characters, not numbers. Zero, I mean, it can be just K, and that's fine. Um, but and it can be KY, Kentucky, or anything. Um, just that the first letter has to be K and it has to be uppercase. If not uppercase, it returns a false. So capital or uppercase case Y, uppercase Kentucky all return true, but Kansas and KY with the K in lowercase returns false. Um, Now the hashtag and the star. In example 3, what we have is we're looking for a string which has three numbers followed by a character, or followed by zero or more characters. It doesn't have to be a character, but three after three numbers there cannot be any other number. It has to be characters. So examples of true would be 178, 98, 3ab, or whatever. But like if you have x34, it starts with the character, so it's automatically false. 34z5, so two numbers then a character, so that's also false. So like that. More examples. These two are for the character list. So basically, in between T and M, uh, the O and I contain the list. So in between T and M, there can be an O and there can be an I. If it's any other thing, like any other character or number, it will return false. So Tom or Tim will only return true. Anything else will return false. So um, like Tam or Tommy. I mean, there is an O between T and M, but there's M Y after M, which does not. It's not what we're looking for. Um, Last example here is that if the string contains any lowercase letter, it will evaluate to true. So A to Z, it will evaluate to true, otherwise it will evaluate to false. So example 6 is a small program where we are we have a full name string which we're looking at. We have a current character which looks at every character in the full name, and the non-letter is a count of how many um, characters inside the full name is not uh, a letter. If it's a number or something, the non-letter counts up. So the full name is extracted from a text box, and then we have a for loop with the index as the counter, and it goes from 0 to full name dot length -1, because the highest index is always lesser than the length by 1. And then we, in the for loop, we look at every single character. um, so we use the substring method, where it starts from the current index to the next index. That's why it's index comma 1. The 1 here is the number of characters we want to extract. And if the current character, and that's extracted into, or that's assigned into the current character, and if that is like the exclamation mark here is that the it's basically, if the current character is not a small or a lowercase or an uppercase letter, then non-letter plus equals to 1. So if the current character is not any letter, then increment the non-letter. So it basically looks at if how many like non-letters, like symbols or numbers, we have, and returns that. Example 7 is just looking for a period anywhere inside the rate text box. And example 8 is looking for a certain pattern where you have two, where basically if the first two characters are two letters, and then followed by two numbers. So if you have like AB 1 2 or XY 4 2 whatever, then it's fine. If it's not in that format, it will return to false. So we saw a bunch of examples of how we can use this pattern matching to like do a lot of cool things with any strings to our purpose.